All right, hello wine drinking people. Time for more of what I've had to drink yesterday, and John Stone was in to see us. And sorry, John, I called you Mike, I think, when you were in the other day. Anyways, hopefully we'll see a lot more, John. I'll be able to remember his first name. And he had some nice wines in the bag. I have to say it's not for lack of having good wines we haven't seen them. But this 8 Arms, which is 8 Arms So the Argonaut Sauvignon Blanc was up first today, and this is from the North Coast. Actually, it's from Sauvingon Valley, which is to the southwest of Napa. And it's 3% Viognier from Sonoma in the blend. The Sauvignon Blanc is from Sauvingon Valley. And this has got a light but pleasant bouquet of melon and green fig-like fruit with light floral and kind of salty note there also. A big and fruity wine on the palate. A lot of sweet fruit, a good hand of melon and pink grapefruit, like cocktail-like notes with that light briny quality showing up at the end, but a lot of sweet fruit here, kind of balancing it out. Pretty floral notes at the end there. Very good little wine for $20.25. Next up is the Purple Hands, and Purple Hands, the handiwork of Cody Wright, the son of Ken, very famous vintner in the Willamette Valley, and a good amount of ripe, juicy fruit here. These 2012s seem to be very forward. Wild strawberry, cherry on the nose, pretty flowers, notes of exotic spices, just a touch of fresh earth and light, a smoky note coming out on the second day, but this wine held up very good. A good amount of plump and ripe, juicy fruit on the tongue, silky smooth tannins. One of the things we love about Pinot Noir, that sexy texture it has on your tongue, pretty floral notes, and that smoky nuance and that earthy nuance showing up at the end. This wine is a blend of 50% Staller and 50% Holstein fruit to Single Vineyards. They also make Single Vineyards wines out of. $24.50 for the entry level. And then the Holstein up next from the Dundee Hills. And this is one of the most prestigious areas of the Willamette. The Dundee Hills, a lot of people consider to be like the Grand Cru vineyards of the Willamette. And this wine sees 10 months in a mix of new and used French barrels. It's got a whopping 12.5% alcohol, but not light in taste. Again, this wine's got a good amount of earthy note to it. The fresh barnyard to the light red berry fruit, a little smoky note there. Nice complexity on the nose. Bright and zesty on the tongue with smooth and silky tannins, and that earthy character showing through on the finish. Only 300 cases produced. A firm hand of acidity holding things in place. A nice little spice there at the end. This wine now has natural cork. They used to use Stelvin for all the wines, but the entry level just has synthetic, and the rest of the wines have got natural cork at $39.75. An excellent bottle of Pinot. The Mercy Vineyards from Monterey up next. A very different Pinot Noir. This one's got some nice brown spice and cherry pie fruit and a little minty, kind of earthy note, cinnamon spice. Only 225 cases produced. Very small production. Really smooth and polished wine on the tongue with light red berry fruit, silky smooth tannins. A good hand of that brown spice through the finish. An excellent little Pinot at under, well, right at $20. Next up, we go up to Washington State, the Wahluke Slopes and Gilbert Cellars. This is their left bank. And this is all estate bottle juice. This is a 5th generation farming family, and only recently they got into growing grapes because most people farmed other things up in Washington until the last 50 years. But this wine's a blend of 54% Cab, 19 Petite, 14 Cabernet Franc, a little Merlot and Malbec thrown in there for good measure. This wine's got a strong earthy component. These 11s, a very cold vintage. You notice that minty note to the nose, anise, and some black and red berry fruit, showing nice complexity here. A spiced and zesty wine on the palate with that minty and anise note shown through the finish, but nice structure and depth here, along with you get both red and black fruit. Really nice balance. A savory finish though. Excellent juice at 23.25. Some great values coming out of Washington State. Perata Vineyards up next, and this is a 3rd generation family from Yountville. The Paradox is their neighbor. This is 100% Cabernet. Really small production, and we had one of their wines in the store, the Franc, I think, or something, 07, and this one even better on the second day, showing a nice amount of cigar box spice, sweet tobacco, that sweet toasty oak, cinnamon, currants, cassis, a bit of graphite pencil coming out on the next day, and cedar box spice. A very smooth and drinkable wine. This 07's got a little bit of age to it, kind of notes of coconut. 28 months in French oak, so only 500 cases produced. Usually you get that coconut out of American oak. Really nicely balanced on the palate with a nice array of that spice from the nose showing through the finish, and lovely freshness here at $46. Excellent juice. And then on to the Perata, really a mixed bag here. The Clos Dominic Clos Petto, and this is a blend of Carignan, Grenache, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Merlot. Very small producer from the Perata section of the Perata. And this is their entry-level wine in the tier. It does spend a little time in oak, 14 months. All hillside vineyards, but duh. This is the Perata, unless you're on top of the mountain. It's the only way you don't have Phil's hillside there. This has got that schist liquor ale soil. You notice that along with the wild flowers in the nose, that slate-like minerality coming out with the black raspberry and cherry fruit. Really typical from a wine for this region. Really smooth and balanced wine on the tongue with a zesty finish, echoing that spice and that slate, that mineral, that floral notes, components from the nose coming through on the finish at 41 1/4. Excellent juice. A little expensive maybe, but hey, the Perata is not a cheap date. That's what we had to drink with our friend John Stone. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying remember, always drink the good stuff first.